Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Still I Rise podcast. I am thrilled to introduce two guests whose love, strength, and service continue to inspire our Unite family. Michael Holmes is a dedicated husband, caregiver, mentor, sponsor, and advisory member, and I'm so proud to call him friend. Colette Marietta is his wife, and she is a courageous 5-time cancer survivor who went through our program and who radiates resilience and grace. Together, they share both sides of the cancer journey, his as the unwavering supporter and hers as the fighter who has truly turned pain into purpose. Their story is one of deep devotion, enduring friendship, and a shared commitment to lift others up who are going through similar battles. This is a powerful conversation about what it means to stand by someone you love, to keep showing up, and to rise together, no matter what the odds. Welcome to today's Still I Rise podcast. Well, hello guys. How are you today?
Doing good.
It's so good to see you.
Excellent. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Isn't it though? And we're sitting here at DIS where Michael is the Chief Marketing Officer. Is that correct?
It's actually Chief Growth Officer.
Chief Growth Officer.
They changed my title because people did a abbreviation with it and called it CMO. So although I play a doctor on TV, I'm not the Chief Medical Officer.
Oh, right.
So they moved it to Chief Growth Officer.
That could be confusing.
It does.
Could you, as long as we're on the subject of DIS, could you just really quickly just explain what DIS is and what you guys do?
Sure. Diagnostic Imaging Services is a radiology practice here in the greater New Orleans market. We have Covington, Slidell, Metairie, and over on the West Bank in Marrero. And we provide services, really everything from screening mammogram services to the more complicated CT and MRI studies for patients that have other complications just besides cancer.
How many locations do you have?
In the greater New Orleans area, we have 7.
Okay. And then elsewhere?
We have 57 as a company. So Diagnostic Imaging Services is actually owned by Capital Imaging Services, which is the parent company. So we have centers from Georgia and Florida all the way over to the Houston, Corpus Christi, Texas area.
Wow. And so obviously, as Chief Growth Officer, you are busy.
Yes, I travel a lot. I work with the field sales support team. I work with upper management on contracts. And then we do a variety of things for the social side of medicine with communities, such as Unite. We are proud to not only provide services for the community, but also to give back to the community.
Yes, and we're going to be talking a lot about that during this interview. I first wanted to ask you, Michael, so I think we go back, I don't know if it's 2015 or so, but how did you first learn about Unite?
Well, actually, you found me. So when we were first discussing it, I guess I came here with Colette in 2009 as the CEO of DIS. And then you had reached out because you were creating this wonderful idea about the Unite and making women's lives different after cancer and going through the treatment and so forth. So I got involved in the first advisory board with you reaching out to us through DIS.
And so when I called you, besides my charismatic personality, what attracted you to the program? What tugged on your heart to get involved?
Well, it was 100% you.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
So other than that, my wife, who is here today, is a 5-time cancer survivor. She's been fighting cancer since 17. And when I
Since age 17.
Since age 17.
Not 2017.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. True. Since age 17. Oh, that's a big mistake. So as we go through the thought process as the leader of DIS, we wanted to get into charitable organizations. And cancer is near and dear to our heart because Colette being a cancer survivor and me being a caregiver, it was a natural fit. And I've been supporting cancer programs ever since 2009.
We're going to get Colette's story in just a second, but I wanted to ask you, I remember the first year, and you said to me, Michael, that I'm going to ask Colette to come to the show to watch the show. So from your perspective, try to remember what that felt like that night for you, knowing she was in the audience? Because I know Colette had a different experience.
Oh, I remember that night very well. So Colette was at the program, and she watched the transformation of these ladies on stage from having all the worries about cancer and the treatments and the side effects and the potential disfigurements and things like that. And Colette got very emotional. And in fact, we left early that night. And part of the reason we left early is because she thought she wasn't worthy to be associated with such a proud program. And it turned out to be the best thing that she could have seen, because it really did impact her. And we had great conversations after that about her struggles and how strong of a woman she is fighting cancer. And therefore, she's a perfect candidate to be a runway model and go through the Unite empowerment experience, which she did in 2019, I believe.
Let's see, that first time. So that was a good, 3 years later that you finally pulled the trigger or something?
2 years.
2 years later. Okay.
2 years later, and she really enjoyed the whole experience from start to finish, and has been involved in supporting Unite ever since.
Yeah.
And there really is a sisterhood that's created through that program.
Yes.
And it's been very beneficial.
Yeah. So Colette, let me go back to that night for you, because I am such a people pleaser, chronic, almost to a fault. And I knew you were in the audience, and I knew how important it was for Michael to have you there. It was sad for me when I knew you left in tears. And I want to be aware of how other women like yourself are feeling when they have that emotion overcome them. And because we do a lot of programs like SCART and other things that challenge women to step outside their comfort zone and look at a side of life that has not been that easy. So when you were sitting there, when, like Michael said, the emotions overcame you, but what really were you thinking?
Well, I think it was really a mixed emotions, and that's what really, got me was, at first I was watching these ladies, and I just, felt so much, how courageous they were and the struggles that they were going through. And then I felt like, I always feel like I'm so strong and I get through things. And then all of that just kind of hit me and realized I am one of them. And, so I think when you have cancer, there's two sides. There's one side where you just want to move on and be strong. But then there's the other side where you're scared. You're scared of what to expect. You're scared of what's next. Things that are out of your control. And I think that that's what got me there, was watching these women and just realizing maybe I'm not as strong as I thought I was.
Yeah. What can we as an organization do to be better aware of that phase of the journey? Because it's interesting. It's like purgatory, right? So you've been released from care, or you might be still going through treatment, but you want to be someplace else, but you're stuck in that middle of, am I ready to face that? Am I ready to be all I can be? So what advice would you have for people who are stuck in the middle there?
Well, I think you've got to do kind of what you're doing. I think if I didn't know anybody, I don't know if I would have came in the program. But I think we've got to reach out to friends. You've got to explain clearly what the program is going to be like, and have someone, speak about how great it is and what they got out of it. And I think, because that's what I think people are just a little leery. You're like, you're breaking free of the cancer, so you're wanting to move on and have a normal life. But at the same time, you're still battling symptoms, issues, worries in your head. And you need, you don't realize how much you need this fellowship with other women that are in different stages. Mm-hmm. So in some stages, you hope to motivate them, and then in some stages, they're just finding out. And so I just think, I don't know, my advice would be, it's almost got to be by word of mouth, and just explaining clearly what this will do for them.
I think you're right, where somebody who could say, I believe in you, let's do this, I'll walk this journey with you, be brave, I'll be in the audience, or I'll be in the show with you. When we say show for our audience, just so they understand, we do a multi-month program that involves a lot of therapy programs to help address some of the inner feelings that people are having. But eventually we move into the outer where we say, how do you see yourself physically now? And we do makeovers and photo shoots, and we provide professional runway training. So from your perspective, did you join to be in a runway show or something else?
I joined for fellowship. The runway show, to be honest, made me nervous, but that was just like you said, the whole process really helps you. First you have the candle pass and you're hearing everybody's stories, and then you move on to a retreat where you're actually, having good time with the others and understanding everybody's story a little bit more. And then you're kind of moving into the, first you kind of take it laughingly, like, oh my gosh, we're going to practice the runway, but then you start getting better and better. It builds your confidence. It truly empowers you. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, getting your hair done, your makeup, it's the perfect program.
I love it. I wanted to ask you, since we did mention at the intro that you're a 5-time cancer survivor. How does somebody become a 5-time cancer? I mean, are you competitive? You're trying to earn some badges and awards? It's just a competition.
Trust me, I don't want to win.
You want to win life, but start from the beginning. What were you originally diagnosed with?
So, the beginning of my senior year, there was a M&M size thing behind my ear and my jawline. And at the time, they just thought first they thought it was an infection. Then they thought it, was just a benign tumor. So we didn't do any research. We just went right into surgery. And then when they got in there, opened it up, the tumor was the size of an egg, and all my facial nerves were wrapped inside of it. So unfortunately, and then it all came back as cancer. So they feel that I was probably born with this because it was so large. And that was the adenoid cystic carcinoma. And it was of the parotid gland, which is one of your salivary glands.
May I interrupt you right there? Yeah. That is a very rare cancer. Is that right?
Very rare.
And so and even back then, what year was, as you said, you were 17
1979.
So we couldn't just open up Google, right?
Right. Like back then, they didn't even have stages. So I had no idea what stage, that's a new thing. And also just to give you an example of how, so we went around, my parents took me to Mayo and MD Anderson to get advice on what to do next. And then we went ahead and did it here in New Orleans. I went to main campus at Ochsner's. I missed my senior year. And so then going there and getting this radiation, nowadays they build this huge mask, fitted mask that keeps you in place so that you've got, they're getting the radiation in exactly the right. Back then, you know what they did?
What'd they do?
A Sharpie.
What?
They took a Sharpie and they marked the areas of where the radiation would go. And then when that Sharpie would wear off, they'd Sharpie it again.
Wait, how did you stay still?
You just laid on the table. That was it. There was nothing making you stay still.
It was truly medicine and science just trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's come a long way.
Oh,
when people invest in science and, fundraising, you can see why and how come. It's
just the years. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cancer 1.
Yes. That's cancer 1. So then let's finish up on that.
Okay.
So that was very rare. And it was so hard to just find somebody that had experience with that type of cancer. So they decided, one place told me to do this radical thing and take off half my jaw because it has a very high chance of returning. But we chose not to do that. My parents did just because I was 17. So we went with just the maximum radiation. So then I got married, and when I got married, they told me not to have children for 10 years.
When you say got married to this lovely, different. Okay, just one.
That was her first try.
Okay, practice husband.
My practice husband. That's true.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So we met with a doctor, and he said, please do not try to get pregnant until you're 27. And then you can, at 10 years, the way that they do the statistics is they say that at 5 years, about 80% of the people will survive. At 10 years, about 61% of the people will survive. And then at 15 years, 29% will survive. So it has a high recurrence over a long period of time. So,
things don't improve.
And this type of cancer typically happens to mostly women, but that are the age like 50 to 60. So I was 17, so I became a case, where they were really researching it. And so I ended up doing some genetic testing, and so they do feel that I had some irregular genes that caused this cancer, which is one thing they have found over the years.
So she is setting one record. So as far as we know, through the Adenoid Cystic Carcinoma Foundation, she is the third oldest living survivor of that cancer. And she's in touch and in communication with the two older living survivors through that foundation. So it's a very tight neighborhood that she lives in with this cancer. And then because of the foundation, she also has people that reach out to her, or she reaches out to them when she sees it, of all different ages and all different stages of cancer. So she puts a lot of work into helping people that have this rare cancer as well.
Yeah, so doctors who study that know your name. I mean, they must.
They could look it up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so you are a survivor now of how many years then of that?
48 years.
And did that one ever come back?
No, it has not. Although the fifth cancer was squamous cell, which is often a similar type cancer for ACC. So, it's not ACC, but it's squamous, which is very similar. So I did end up having that.
It falls into the head, neck, and throat cancer categories? Okay.
Well, squamous
this one did.
Yeah,
okay.
Squamous cell falls into a variety of, for example, I just had Mohs surgery to remove squamous cell on the top of my head.
Oh, did you?
So squamous can appear in a lot of different areas. In her case, it appeared most likely as either an adaptation to the gene for the adenoid cystic carcinoma or from the previous radiation that she received. And she went through a radical 11-hour surgery where they had 3 different doctors work on her, 2 anesthesiologists and 40 people. We were the first people in the waiting room at Oxner in the main campus, and we were the last one. I was the last one sitting there waiting for the doctors to come out.
But that was a fun day.
And it was a very exciting time when they came back and they said, hey, we got her ear back on. We didn't have to remove her jaw because it was very close to the TMJ joint in the jaw. We think we got all the cancer. It was long, it was hard, but we think we were successful. So very well done by Dr. Hasney, Dr. Moore, and Dr. Maloney, who did the surgery on them, and the team, obviously.
Bless the team.
Yes.
God bless them.
Well, I do have to say, out of that too, though, that's where I lost my hearing. So it was, involved with my temporic membrane and my mastoid. And so they had to remove the hearing in that side.
One side.
One side.
Okay.
So luckily the other side is good.
And that didn't affect your speech or anything, did it?
Mm-mm.
No?
I don't think so.
Okay. So is that still cancer number 1?
No.
No, that was 2?
No.
What did we go?
Missed 3.
Yeah,
missed 3.
Okay, so let's see. So after 1979, I had the ACC.
Okay, ACC.
And I think I was good.
Adenoid cystic carcinoma. Yes.
Yeah, sorry. And then I think it took till I was about 50.
You were in your 40s.
When did I have my thyroid?
When you were in your 40s when you had your thyroid, so she received thyroid cancer.
Well, and that's typical with radiation.
Okay.
Almost everybody's going to, if you get head and neck radiation, you're going to get thyroid cancer. And so I had that. So that was the first one, that was the second cancer. So I had that removed. Then the next one was breast cancer. And, here I'm with a guy who does radiology, so I never missed a mammo. And in 1 year, it had, had ductal cancer in my left breast, and it had left the duct, so it's swimming around in your body in 1 year. So,
and what's important about that is it showed up in one breast through mammography and through ultrasound. Because it was in one breast, we went ahead and did the breast MRI, which is the best possible diagnostic imaging service that can happen when you have cancer. So we looked, even though the mammogram and the ultrasound didn't pick it up in the right breast, the breast MRI did. So just don't stop at the mammograms or ultrasounds. Make sure you also have the option to do the breast MRI as well.
You were an employee already of DIS when all that was happening. Wow.
Yeah.
Husband and husband and service provider all at once.
Service provider and navigator.
And yes, oh my goodness, wow. Okay, so
that was number 3.
3.
So so then I had that, breast mastectomy, double bilateral mastectomy. And then number 4 was just skin cancer. And I mean, crazy skin cancer. And so right after the breast, we decided to go to a genealogist. So we went to a genealogist, and they kind of gathered all the data they could from my family and from me. And in that, they said that they now have these new genomic testing that you can do. And so from that, they can kind of tell what's radiation related and what we could consider down the road. So from that, it gave us, some ideas of places to look, which I can tell about in a second. But anyway, so then we knew that the breast was radiation related, because no one in my family had it, etc. So then the skin cancer started showing up, and it was all exactly where I had received the radiation. Like, for instance, behind my ear was a quarter size lesion, and it was squamous cell, and I had to do the Mohs surgery on that. But it's all related to radiation. And I constantly, I just went 2 weeks ago, and I had, 3 biopsies done, and one of them came back squamous. So, so I'll have that surgery in August. So that was number 4. And then the number 5 was the big one he was talking about. So, I fly all the time for work. And I started just hearing less in one ear. And I thought it was related to me flying all the time. So I started seeing an ENT, and he kept thinking that, I had some type of infection, or, all kinds of crazy things. Finally went down to the specialist at main campus at Ochsner. And Tim Maloney looked at it, and he's like, yep, you have cancer in there. It's growing from the inside of your head out through the ear canal, and it's squamous cell. And he said, and this is going to cause a lot of, going to need to do a lot of things with this. So they went in, like Michael said, it was 11.5-hour surgery, 3 days in the ICU, another 4 days in a regular room. I had drains everywhere, and I had wanted to keep my ear because I wear glasses. So out of the 3 doctors, 2 said, no, don't worry about the ear. Let's just worry about the cancer. Well, luckily, the head guy, Tim Maloney, said, no, I think we can save the ear, because they wanted to build me a shelf for my glasses.
Oh.
And I just thought that sounded gross.
Yeah, you're right.
So, but that was part of the concern. So they kept my ear, and then they did a Doppler. The ICU, they would sit and watch it and make sure the blood was flowing in the ear. Because if it didn't, I'd have to go back into surgery, and they'd remove the ear. But because
it would die.
Yes, if blood was not flowing, it would become necrotic and die. Yeah.
This just happened this last year, all of those surgeries, right?
No, that happened in 2018.
Oh, I feel like
It's been a while ago.
Okay, but
luckily she's not had any major surgeries due to cancer recently.
Well, okay. That's not true.
I thought.
Well, she's had surgical due to radiation issues, not cancer.
Because now that's what I'm bearing.
Yeah, but to go back to quickly, how the group found the cancer in the ear was she went through one more additional imaging study, which is PET-CT. And the PET-CT study itself, when you receive that and there's cancer, that sugar lights up bright orange, red, etc. So it tells you where the cancer is. And that's where they first saw it, inside the ear canal.
Is that something you all offer here too?
We do not offer it at this time, but we plan on doing so hopefully in the future.
Okay.
We did, then COVID hit, and we were in a mobile configuration, and it kind of messed up the whole cycle of life as COVID messed up and changed the world in many different ways. So that's a service that we offer as a company in other locations here in Alexandria, Lake Charles, Texarkana, Corpus Christi, things like that, but we don't have one here locally.
Okay, is that considered cutting edge, pretty new?
No, PET-CT's been around for a while.
Okay.
It's more hospital-based here in the New Orleans market. So we still go and travel to Alexandria or Lake Charles to stay within the capital imaging services, and obviously we're a little bit less expensive than the hospitals themselves because we bill differently as a physician practice versus a hospital practice. So as we travel throughout and decide what we want to do from service here, we're talking about PET-CT here all the time.
Okay. So I guess to wrap up all of those diagnoses of yours, how are you feeling today?
I feel good. I mean, I try to I still got to have a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm just having a lot of issues with the long-term radiation, teeth falling out, neck pain, bone pain, which is typical of long-term radiation damage. And it's been brutal because, we just went up this past Thanksgiving, and that's where I had 3 teeth pulled, and then they grafted skin from my thigh and built a cover over my gums. So when they opened that, that's something that happens. It's called oral radionecrosis. Osteoradionecrosis. So it's like the deadening of your jaw because of the radiation. So they opened it up. It was there. There was a yeast infection, etc. So they cleaned out as much as they could and covered it up. And in fact, we're going up next week for the follow-up from that. And it's still not healed. But it's those are the kind of, and then I have another tooth that's being pulled tomorrow from the radiation up here. And so that kind of stuff. But, in general, I mean, I'm doing fine. I mentioned about the genetic testing. So that's the scary part, is when we did the genetic testing, I came back positive for 2 types, I think ATM and PMS something. But anyways, it means that they have like mild, moderate, and high risk. I'm at a high risk for esophageal, breast, lung, pancreatic, and colon cancer. So that's a little scary, like you just feel like you're turning every corner, looking the other way, and feel like everything that I feel, I need to check it out, rather catch it early. So, I'm being honest that, I'm always afraid, when something happens and what they're going to say and what's going to happen. But, in general, I just try to enjoy life every day and deal with it when it comes.
Yeah, I know you're a busy executive and you have helped me. So it seems like you don't really slow down despite all of the punches that come your way. I'm curious, Michael, one of the things that you have always done for Unite is that you get on stage, and this actually makes me tear up a little bit, but you always speak to the caregivers in the audience because so many are at our event. I mean, if you say there's 25 or so ladies who get on that stage to be celebrated, there's, let's say, anywhere from 700 to 900 guests, and a big percentage of those represent people who are cheering for that honoree. But how have you felt in all of this? I mean, every single time the news comes, let's first approach it from how you felt and then why it's so important for you to get up on stage and recognize that.
Well, I think it starts with the relationship that you're in. Cancer, unfortunately, not only tears away from the body, but also tears mentally. And many couples have a very difficult time with cancer. Either the person with cancer pushes the spouse away, or the spouse can't take the pressure. So as a caregiver, there are ups and downs, peaks and valleys, roller coaster, however you want to describe it, that you have to go through with your loved one. And when that happens, you have to kind of put your feet in their shoes, and hopefully they're putting their feet in our shoes and vice versa to understand that. But a lot of the caregiving goes into the physical side. Patients get sick. So it's hard to see your spouse getting sick. I try to block out the actual being sick from all the different things that can happen, including bleeding and blood and all those gory things that people sometimes don't like to deal with. I just mentally do it as a function or a job, a task, and don't associate it with my wife. So when you go into that part. That's the physical hard side. It's the mental side that becomes more difficult. I can tell you, like when she goes through her surgery, she's not a pleasant person. And she knows that. And she says things that are she doesn't mean, but she's frustrated and she's angry. But she's never lost sight of God or the purpose, and you just have to understand that. So that's why I try to support the caregivers, because many of the caregivers are obviously, when it's a women's program, will be men. Not all, but this is really for all caregivers. You have to kind of reinforce the love and the support that you have there. But you got to be in the game. You can't be afraid of it. And it wears on people who become afraid. They have kids that they now got to do things they may not have done before, whether that's laundry and dishes and the lawn and getting to the third grader to class and the seventh grader and then the driving test for the 16-year-old. It's a lot of stuff. And if one half of your partner is sick and can't do that, it's all on the burden. And some caregivers just can't handle that.
Well, it affects your schedule too, because you can't go to work. I've talked to some of the husbands who have said that they had to stop working. I don't know how, because of all the doctor's appointments. So.
And that's when I mentioned the word navigator. That's part of, luckily being in healthcare, it helps because we know the system. We know the insurance payers. We know prior authorizations, eligibility, verifications, all those things. But we also know how to research. And through even Colette's friends, we found the two surgeons in Cleveland Clinic who have taken care of Colette's osteoradionecrosis, rebuilt her jaw. When you have cancer, it takes longer to heal. So now we're going up for that 6-month follow-up to see them. But they did a fantastic job doing this whole process. And we researched them through friends that Coco is one of her friends who helped find this individual. And he's really done more surgeries, Dr. Fritz, than anybody else in the United States that we could find. That's who you go to when you have these rare cancers.
Wow. So I know that for a short amount of time, you launched through the Unite program a group called The Knights with the K to bring together men in a safe environment. It was men only, because you had said you wanted the men to be able to talk about things that they might not ordinarily share with their wife being around or their significant others. So I think it had success in that it was an amazing idea. And initially you had a kind of a core group of men, but it's hard to get the guys to kind of commit to emotional programs, isn't it?
Yes. Well, we've all heard that men go into the cave, and typically that's what happens. And they don't share their emotion. They don't let their emotions out, which needs to happen. They don't want to be emotional in front of their spouse. They don't like being emotional in front of their friends, so they need somebody to talk to. And I've talked to a lot of people one-on-one about my experiences and their experiences. So when we got together the idea of creating a little fraternity, per se, it worked out very well. But the first meeting was here at DIS Covington, here in Covington, and everybody sat there. Nobody really wanted to say anything, so I launched into my story as the caregiver, and I got emotional when I did it. Well, that emotion coming out in that safe environment where there's no recording, there's no TV, etc., well, then it started to slowly happen. And by that time, everybody was involved by the end of the night having those discussions.
They felt safe at a certain point.
Exactly. And I think that's a great program to continue.
Yes.
COVID got in the way of that.
Yes.
COVID stopped it because we all had to wear masks and hide in the houses. So we kind of lost that momentum we had. In addition, as the women cycle through each and every year, you have a new group. Well, those who went through it before didn't necessarily stay tied.
That's true.
So we didn't have a mechanism to keep them tied and active. Now, some of them continue to volunteer and still do today, to volunteer with the program, whether it's setting up or supporting through other ways. It really is a program, I think, that is a need. I think it's one that for all caregivers, men or women, is kind of lost in the shuffle. And a good example is when a person hears the word cancer, they don't hear anything else during the entire visit. Nothing. Every bad thought that goes into their head is sitting in there. because everybody sees cancer as death, and that's not true. So when you are the caregiver, it's your job to go to all those appointments. It's your job to take the notes. It's your job to go over those notes when the time is right and past the emotional side of, I just found out I have cancer. So some of it are task related, but then some of it are just the normal bonding and holding hands and doing the things that you need to do.
Right. And if you have kids at home, some of them involve, now how do we act as a couple when we get home?
Oh, and kids are a lot different concept in how, and their age and what you tell them. And kids may not, because kids for the most part feel immortality, they're not worried about death, as a parent or a grandparent would be. It's more of a difficult conversation and one that really needs counseling and support, like what you offer through UNI, American Cancer Society, Susan B. Komen, whoever it would happen to be. There are mechanisms in which you can get advice from counselors themselves on how to deal with children and telling them that mom or dad is sick.
Yeah. So recently we have been encouraging people who, our participants who come to our SCAR art painting class, SCART, to bring a loved one to paint alongside them. It could be their significant other, their children, their best friend who has walked the journey with them. Without fail, when they bring them in, I have seen this over and over again. The men show up and first they're kind of like, oh, I'm just here to support, but I'm not going to paint. We're like, come on, paint. And so they paint. And then at the end, when we do the sharing time, we are very good at coaxing people to get up and share, because by the time that they are sharing, I think they recognize that, like you said, with the Nights program, it is a very safe environment to do that. And when they get up, they always cry, every single one. It's almost like they've been given permission for the first time to be able to share their part of the story to somebody who understands. And it's my favorite part of every SCAR, because I feel like, wow, they have so much, but they're holding inside. And it's always kind of an honor that they feel like we've given them the environment to be so real. And you just watch the dynamic of that relationship sitting there and the power between the couple. It's truly a beautiful thing to witness.
I've seen, or actually heard and seen, when I speak to men, a lot of times where you see the tears that come out, I see the anger. Yeah. Men, at least, well, for myself, I'm a fixer. I want to fix it right away. I'm going to look for an angle to fix. I can't fix cancer. And that makes me mad. It pisses me off, quite frankly.
Yes.
Because it's out of my control. So I get those conversations that go on, and it'll be 30 minutes, and there's F-bombs coming, and there's anger, and there's God conversations, and all these kind of things. If they don't release that creates huge mental blocks, pain and anguish, and that hurts the relationship. So they need to find an angle or a person, someone that knows what they're going through. Not sympathy. They're not looking for sympathy. They're looking for empathy. And if you can do that, I think it makes them feel much better.
Yeah, because it's going to spill out. If they do not address it, it's going to spill out in first their relationship, like you said, and within themselves. It could result in them having health problems, but it will affect their family. It will affect their job, the way they're approaching life. So I would love to revisit that program with you again if we could figure out how to.
I would love to do it inside of all the other things that we have going on. I think if we had someone that could help or volunteer, we're always looking for volunteers.
Yes.
Reach out to Lisa, and I'd be more than happy to talk to them.
Yes.
And a good example that I've always heard over and over, many people will ask a man how he's doing, and his answer will be fine. If that's the answer, there's a problem.
You're right. So, okay.
So I was just going to say, so from a cancer patient, the one thing that I feel, I've felt over and over and over, is I know that I have these great friends and husband and family that want to help, and they just seem so helpless. You can just see it in their face, and I swear it hurts them more than it hurts me. Like, I have no choice. I just have to go for treatment. I have to get better, blah, blah, blah. And I think the thing I've learned over the time is to tell them things you want. say, I would like to binge watch this, or can you make me a red velvet cake?
That's such a good point.
You know?
Yeah, because people say, hey, whatever you need,
Right.
pray for you. But then they are helpless. And if you said, you know what, my house is dirty, I could use a house cleaner, or...
And I think a lot of women do that and need to. I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot, but just, because people want to help.
Yes.
They really do. And my husband wants to help. He wants to fix it and he can't. So, I try to delegate things.
That's a good example where the caregivers came in. So part of the caregiver program was, I haven't mowed my lawn in 3 weeks. Okay. 2 guys pick up the lawnmowers and go mow the lawn. But Colette makes a perfect point, and so did you when you say, well, is there anything I can do, or I'll pray for you. Love the prayers. Prayer chains are fantastic. Be specific. Everybody wants to bring food. It's not the food. It's sitting on the couch. It's taking a walk. It's just doing things, like you said, making a specific cake, that is her favorite cake, getting her German chocolate, Baskin-Robbins ice cream, she would love that. Those little tasks go a huge way of giving people on the other side who want to help and don't know how to help and feel lost, give them a direction.
In all your years of being a caregiver, Michael, what would be, if somebody was listening right now, sort of maybe new into the journey, what would be the best advice you could send to them to maybe encourage them, or practical advice? Like if they're hearing right now, wow, I'm relating to this, but I'm still feeling a little lost.
Reach out. There are this organization. You have people. If somebody reached out to Lisa or Colette, they can find me. If somebody needed to reach out through their doctor, reach out through the doctor, reach out through the nurse navigators, the systems, the charitable organizations. All of those people have resources that will allow you to understand what you're going through, because it hits you as well. Yes. So you don't have the cancer, but you hear cancer. And all those thoughts still go through your head. Oh my, what I got to do here? But, kids, work, etc. Talk to somebody. Don't be in a cave.
Yes.
My one advice is talk. I don't care if it's soft talk, cry talk, pissed off talk, F-bomb talk, etc. Get it out so that you feel relief when you're done with that conversation.
Yes,
and those are all private situations, private conversations. So
right. You made a good point, because every cancer has a national foundation that has a lot of times regional chapters, but you can, find like yours, the adenoid cystic carcinoma, if somebody had that rare cancer. I want to tell you on that subject, this is so crazy story to me. We interviewed Colette when she was in our world record event representing adenoid cystic carcinoma as a ribbon ambassador, carrying that ribbon color. And your whole family walked in honor of Colette that night and that cancer when we broke the world record. Thank you. But the video, this is so amazing. So I got an email a couple of years ago from somebody in Colorado, a mom, I believe, who had heard your video, and her daughter was experiencing what you had experienced. So I connected you with her, and I want to hear about that in a second. But then you just shared with me that that same video was heard by somebody in Pakistan who reached out. I was so I got chills. I still do talking about that. Every single woman who goes through our program has no idea how their story is going to help and make somebody feel connected. So tell me what that was like, hearing from two people who needed your advice and opinion.
Well, I loved it, honestly, because I do feel like I've been in their shoes and I want to give back where people were there for me. So the woman that you connected me with in Colorado, I still talk to her now. And so her, keeping in touch in regards to how her daughter's doing. It's her daughter who has it. And so I helped her. We talked about where's the best places to go and the support groups that I know. And because it's such a rare one, it's hard to find. There's the Cancer Society, the Head and Neck, and then there's ACC. So it's, just such a minute group. So it's just, I find it very moving, and it gives me a chance to give back. And then same with this, I was shocked this woman saw the video, and then she tracked me down because on LinkedIn.
Oh my gosh.
And sent me a message on LinkedIn saying how she saw my video and was inspired by it. Her son, who's 23, was just diagnosed. And, just that, it inspired her to know that I've lived this long, with it. So, I think that's part of what makes you strong, is going out and helping, other people.
Yeah.
Because you've been there. And so I have not, that's what I want to do. I want to make a difference.
I think back to how we started this conversation, that you were sitting in the audience and you walked away, but then you said yes, got involved in the program, and now you are having impact.
I know.
Crazy.
It's true.
Crazy.
It's true. I definitely came around.
You sure have. Okay, so wrapping up everything, I wanted Michael, Unite's coming up October 18th, 2025, and we will have hopefully about 1,000 people. This year's theme is Fight Club. What do you like about Unite, the environment? Why should people come? What are they going to get out of it?
Well, that's a great question. I think there's many things that you can get out of it. Getting on stage is one thing, because I get to talk to the caregivers,
yes.
Obviously. The transformation that you see and the happiness in the moment of those ladies walking down the runway in a variety of outfits or decorations that are theme-oriented just brings your day. And Colette's had friends that went through it and have seen a transformation in them. And serious friends who had serious issues, who it made their life better all the way to the end. And you've seen that,
yes.
And we've seen that. And we've seen what miracles can be done through this program. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage anybody and everybody that wants to come out and see it, potentially want to be a Colette and see what it's all about, or a caregiver wants to bring a spouse to it. We could use all the help and support, and so can those 25 ladies that are walking down the runway. So
yes.
It's an exciting program. I'm always happy to be involved. Diagnostic Imaging Services is always happy to be involved. So as we go through this, it's an honor to be we do the VIP lounge. So it's an honor to be a VIP at a VIP event.
Well, to everybody who makes a decision from DIS to support us, I know you are a big factor, but I know there's other people who have to say green light on it every year. So I want to personally just say thank you so much. We do always need volunteers at our event to help that night and during setup. And then we also encourage people to buy tickets, as you said, because whether you're a nurse or, doctors, there's all kinds of medical personnel there. That is really a very special part to me because, they get out of that, I don't want to say sterile hospital setting, out of their white coats, and they get to just be humans together experiencing love and all of the accomplishments that the team, the collective team, being the family, the healthcare providers, the patient, like it all just sort of comes together in one big room. Where everybody says, look, we're doing this, we're in this together. And it's a beautiful night.
That's a beautiful night, and it's a beautiful program. I don't know if you remember, but the one time you had Colette and I lead a little prayer organization or a prayer day at the retreat you had.
Oh, yes.
And there was a one cancer survivor who was battling through cancer sitting in a wheelchair. And we got done, and it makes me emotional thinking about it, because she's no longer here. But the theme was, you're not alone. And when we ended up having that, and we got everybody together where everybody was holding their hands, she got out of the wheelchair. That's how much adrenaline and power comes through prayer. and through this program. So to her, God bless her, and her husband, because we still stay in touch, it was an honor to do those kind of things, and it's an honor to be part of this program.
Yeah, we have met some fabulous, fabulous women, some who are no longer with us, who we recognize and honor at every single event because we do not want their fight to be in vain. And we want to remember them as, like, for all the amazing memories we all created, and we want to preserve those as long as we can for their families in such a beautiful way. So is there anything else you would like to add about everything, anything?
No, I have nothing but great things to say about this program and what it's done for me, and I've seen what it's done for other friends. And it truly does empower you, helps you get through your struggles, no matter where you are in the treatment program, the fellowship and the friends that you make that last forever. And it's really a fabulous thing that you're doing.
Come be part of it.
Yeah.
Make a difference.
Absolutely. From the bottom of my heart, I can honestly tell both of you I love you. And I want to thank you for everything you've always done for me to support me. And our nonprofit's called We Lift You Up. Thank you for lifting me up.
You're welcome.
We love you. Thanks
for joining.
You've lifted me up.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's very special episode of the Still I Rise podcast with my guests, Colette Marietta and Michael Holmes. Join us next week as we continue the conversations and learn about great ways that we can inspire each other and have hope for a better tomorrow. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in today and listening to the story. Please do us a favor, click the subscribe button and consider a donation. Did you know just for $3 a month, you will be supporting such a huge project where we can get the stories and the voices of these amazing survivors out to the world so that others can find hope, information, and inspiration. Your support means the world to us, and also the fact that you're here today means everything to us. Have a beautiful day.